You're unhappy with, I believe, is it the housing revenue account?
That's correct. It's an unfair tax on council tenants. Every council tenant across the country, their local authority has to pay into this scheme. Pretty much how the European Union does its finances. There's some boroughs that win and there's some boroughs that lose. Now, for the last financial year, Thurrock council tenants had to stump up 8.8 million, or that's £852.56 per tenant, or £16.40 a week in extra rent every Thurrock council tenant has to pay into this housing revenue account. Now, the real beef I have with this is where the money is being spent, and it is clearly political. And I would like to tell you the big winners at this scheme. They're all Labour marginals where Labour cannot afford to lose parliamentary seats. Islington, 58 million, they're under threat from the Liberal Democrats. Hackney, same issue, 48 million, under threat from the Liberal Democrats. The next winning authority was Sheffield, 35 million, which is a big battle between them and the Liberals. Same in Manchester with 34 million. Southwark, 33, as a government minister in one of the southern constituencies in Southwark. Tower Hamlets, 21 million, where there's a battle between Labour, Respect and the Conservatives. And this is all being used to buy votes with. And what I am really, utterly and totally annoyed with is how Thurrock Council have kept quiet about this tax. I found out these figures from going through parliamentary figures online, where we're organising an online petition to number 10 Downing Street. Why hasn't the lead member for housing in Thurrock, Councillor Ojatola, raised any protest or launched any campaign against the housing revenue account? We're working at the moment, the UK Independence Party in Thurrock, to putting up a full slate of council candidates. If we're in a position as kingmakers or as the largest group after the council elections, we will not pay this housing revenue account. It's corrupt and it's wrong, and council tenants are the lowest earning income people. £16.40 a week, if that was knocked off a council tenant's rent, that could make the difference between someone taking up a low paid job or sitting on benefits. But the council is not backing its tenants one shape or the other.
Naturally, we'll give the Labour Party and Councillor Ojatola from Thurrock Council their right of reply. But
of course,
taking this argument on, so to speak, would some say this is a bit symptomatic of UKIP? In fact, you're attacking the policies of others without really showcasing your own.
Well, our big policy is local democracy. Now, the reason why there's so much money being spent to these authorities is because those councils have failed locally to look after their tenants. Now, we as a party have policies of looking after people locally. So if we was in government, this wouldn't be an issue because Thurrock Council would be in charge of looking after Thurrock. The government wouldn't be sticking its nose in and interfering. This problem wouldn't exist. So when people go to vote for their councillors under a UKIP government, it'll be, well, what will my rent be? And the Thurrock councillors of whichever party can say, well, this is what we can actually do. We won't be being interfered by the state or other outside bodies. That's our key message. That's where we're different from the other parties. Giving local authorities and other bodies of government their freedom again to do what people elect their representatives to do.
And like we have with many of all the parties, it seems that once New Year's Day came in, you've all suddenly gone into election frame of mind. Is that the same here with UKIP?
Absolutely. This election's up for the grabs. We're like the other parties, first off the running blocks, and we're going to keep this momentum going until the close of polls, 10 o'clock on polling day, whenever Gordon Brown wants to call it.
What would you gauge? I know here we are in early January, and we've got a long way. Let's say it's May the 6th, but what would you gauge as success for you personally in your constituency?
Winning. I'm under no doubt about it. This seat is prime territory for UKIP. The Labour Party vote has collapsed. They're not voting Conservative. They're coming to us and seeing us as a real viable alternative. And that's been proven in the elections we've had last June. The Pitsea part of my constituency, UKIP was 300 votes short of first place out of 30,000 electors. We just nearly pipped Labour in that seat as well. And so we've proven now, and that's a large part of my constituency, that we can win. In the Pitsea County Council division, had we picked up one extra vote in each street, there'd be 2 UKIP county councillors. In the Thurrock end of my constituency, we was 320 votes short of first place. That's why we're starting the campaign now, and we're going to keep the momentum going to tell people there is an alternative, and it is the UK Independence Party. There is no change, no alternative whatsoever between Labour and the Conservative Party. It's like this weekend, we had Mr Cameron on the television, and he's blatantly telling lies. And he was talking about he'd cut immigration. The bulk of our immigration to this country comes from EU member states. But all of his Conservative Euro MPs, some 5-6 years ago, voted to let these countries join. And their MEPs well knew when a country is a member of the EU, their citizens have the right to go to any EU member state and live there, or claim whatever's going, etc, etc. So the Conservatives are lying through the back of their teeth, and as Mr Cameron said with the referendum, if there's no referendum, there's no trust. And he's welched on that. And that's what we're going to win on. People are looking for a credible alternative, some with actual facts and policies, and as each week's progressing in the campaign, we're launching new policies. Monday just gone, we've launched a new policy of increasing the state pension to £130 a week. And this is what people want to hear, real policies.